So, good morning to all. I would like to welcome today's guest speaker, Srimati Archana Varma, an IS officer of 1995 batch from Assam Khadur. She is graduate in history from Lady Shri Ram College and postgraduate from Jawaharlal Nehru University. Madam started her career as the sub-divisional magistrate of Harmirin in the 6th scheduled tribal district of Karbi Anglong in Assam. As district magistrate of Gopalpara, Assam, Madam deftly handled recurrent floods, communal riots, and coal mafias, and was also instrumental in galvanizing women's self-help groups and total literacy campaign. She was also commissioner of the Guwahati Municipal Corporation, which was the only municipal corporation in Assam in 2004. She has also served as commissioner and secretary to the Chief Minister of Assam, commissioner and secretary Panchayat and Rural Development, Commissioner and Secretary Science and Technology in the state. In the central government, in her 2 stints, she has worked in the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, wherein she played a pivotal role in framing of guidelines for implementation of National Rural Health Mission as director in 2005. Since February 2013, she has worked in the Department of Personnel and Training, first as director handling matters relating to Central Bureau of Investigation, and thereafter as joint secretary in the Department of Personnel and Training in charge of reservation policy of the government. The Central Administration Tribunal, Right to Information Act, 7th Pay Commission, and the 3 Central Secretariat Services and Employees Welfare. Madam also worked as Additional Secretary in the Central Vigilance Commission, handling works inter alia relating to policy of the Central Vigilance Commission and vigilance issues of the Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi. Madam held charge of Principal Secretary to the Government of Assam, Transport and Principal Secretary to the Government of Assam, Information Technology for 2 weeks before taking over charge as Principal Secretary, Guwahati Development Department and Principal Secretary, Mines and Minerals under the Government of Assam. So, Madam has vast and varied administrative experience in public governance, including management of rural, urban local bodies, women empowerment and education at the grassroots level, and human resource management and vigilance policy, health policy at the highest level of policy making. I welcome you again, Madam, and now I would like to request you to initiate the lecture.
Thank you so much, Sunny. I hope I'm audible to everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
Who is this Jagdish Chelani who has a very handsome photo on his as his DP but is not showing his face?
Jagdish, please switch on your video.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. I can see Vaibhav, Jagdish Chelani, Sunny.
Yeah, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And Milind.
Jagdish, please switch on your video.
Jagdish is just like me. He's disappeared. I used to disappear in the academy. So good morning, everybody. You know what I call myself in the service? I call myself Maggie Ketchup. Because I say I'm Maggie Ketchup because I'm different. And if a person like me can survive in the IAS, then I think the IAS has a place for, you know, all kinds of people. So thank you, Milind, thank you, Sunny, and thank you, Dr. Sanjeev Chopra, sir, for giving me this opportunity to talk on a topic on which I did not think I was capable, because as I have a declaration to make before I start my presentation, that I had a FIR lodged against me in 2012, because of which I suffered depression. And I'm still on depressive medicines, and my problem has been identified as recurrent depressive disorder by the psychiatrist. So I was very surprised when Sanjeev Chopra said that, you know, Archana, you are the person who should be talking on how to tackle stress in a high pressure career. Yes, I was unsure, but I think in retrospect, looking at the way I am and the smiling face that I have, despite all the problems that I faced, I think I am competent to speak on a topic which is very, very important for you as you start your journey in the IAS. So since I love songs and I had put on some songs and you had been listening to it, I begin my presentation with the Song of Courage whenever I feel depressed or whenever I feel scared, I put on this song. Please listen to it.
ये मत कहो खुदा से मेरी मुश्किलें बड़ी हैं, ये मत कहो खुदा से मेरी मुश्किलें बड़ी हैं, ये मुश्किलों से कह दो मेरा खुदा बड़ा है। आती है आंधियाँ तो कर उनका खैर मकदम, आती है आंधियाँ तो कर उनका खैर मकदम, तूफान से ही तो लड़ने खुदा ने तुझे गढ़ा है। ये मत कहो खुदा से मेरी मुश्किलें बड़ी हैं, ये मुश्किलों से कह दो मेरा खुदा बड़ा है, मेरा खुदा बड़ा है, मेरा खुदा बड़ा है। अग्नि में तप के सोना है और भी निखरता, अग्नि में तप के सोना है और भी निखरता, दुर्गम को पार करके हिमालय कोई चढ़ा है। लाएगी रंग मेहनत आखिर तुम्हारी एक दिन, लाएगी रंग मेहनत आखिर तुम्हारे एक दिन, होगा विशाल तरवर ये बीज जो पड़ा है। ये मत कहो खुदा से मेरी मुश्किलें बड़ी हैं, ये मुश्किलों से कह दो मेरा खुदा बड़ा है, मेरा खुदा बड़ा है, मेरा खुदा बड़ा है। वो सर्व शक्तियों से जब साथ है हमारे, वो सर्व शक्तियों से जब साथ है हमारे, हर काम उसके रहते आसानियों से हुआ है। कभी हार ना हिम्मत का कदम बढ़ाओ, कभी हार ना हिम्मत का कदम बढ़ाओ, हजारों कदम बढ़ाने वो सामने खड़ा है। ये मत कहो खुदा से मेरी मुश्किलें बड़ी हैं, ये मुश्किलों से कह दो मेरा खुदा बड़ा है, ये मुश्किलों से कह दो मेरा खुदा बड़ा है, मेरा खुदा बड़ा है, मेरा खुदा बड़ा है, मेरा खुदा बड़ा है।
Okay, thanks a ton for your patience listening. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some images, and I think you'll find some kind of synchronicity and some kind of relationship with these images. Do you feel that do you have that self-image that you know you are not a smart ass, That's what you think, but you're too skilled, trained, professional in pointing out the obvious, and you're very sarcastic and you speak very fluently. So are you that pompous ass? Do you have that self-image of a pompous ass? You may not know it, but others may think of you as that pompous ass, which this minion is reflecting. In the guise of humility, he is actually being a pompous ass. Do you have that attitude that, you know, you are the Ajay Devgan or the Amitabh Bachchan, that मैं सारी कुछ पूरी system badal dalunga, and you know, you go to office every day and you are the one who can turn around the system? And then there are these idiots who just don't listen to you. There are these politicians who just don't seem to understand. There are people, you know, who don't understand how good your intentions are, how great you are. So do you suffer from that disconnect? Do you also feel that, you know, despite being so awesomely awesome, you're always being judged and being laughed at? And do you think that people are judging you despite your awesomosity, despite the fact that you are so great? What to do? It's not your fault. It's the fault of the society. And then, do you also suffer from self-doubt? Do you also feel that you're perhaps not good enough? And when, you know, after all the awesomeness gets over after, you know, 4 or 5 years, when you go to the secretariat, then you feel that, you know, you're not getting the respect that you deserve. And then the demotivation starts and the self-doubt starts. Do you also show off that, you know, for me, work is worship? And, you know, I'm in the office till 12 in the night, till 10 in the night, and I go to 9. I wear this patta, which I call doggy ka patta, showing that I'm an IAS officer, and, you know, say goodbye to my wife, goodbye to my children hurriedly, have no time for them, but I'm so awesomely busy all the time. And, you know, you say very proudly that I suffer from such a disconnected work-life balance, but what to do? I'm so awesome. I'm always working. And because I'm always working, I'm the best. Then do you explain to people, you know, whatever the projects that you want to explain in ways that they understand? Or you use these complex words, you know, those high funda words that I learned in JNU ecosystem, and, you know, very many jargons. And then you see very dumb looking faces and you wonder, why are they not understanding your very clear speech, which to them looks like ambiguous? Do you also lead your people up the uncertainty path where they don't know how they should be, you know, working with you, and you just give them random tasks and say, do this, do that, and they just blindly follow you and suffer from uncertainty? But also uncertainty in the day-to-day is also the pivot of strategy. Because in COVID times, there are many things which are uncertain. So are you able to live with that uncertainty? So think hard, people. Are you responsible for the state you are in? Or are others responsible? Is it because the others have not understood how awesome, how big a genius, how great you are, that you are suffering from stress? Do you externalize your stress? Do you hold other people responsible for your stress? If you say yes to any of those questions, that means you are sleepwalking through life. You are not aware. Because if you feel that anybody else has the power to stress you, if you feel that anybody else is the cause of your stress, then sorry dearies, you are sleepwalking. You are living in a state of blissful unawareness. You are not aware. What are you not aware of? You are not aware of the fact that you may have come from PwC, you may have come from some multinational, but you are working in a context which is very different. You are speaking a language which people don't understand. So you have to look at the holistic perspective. Just like in the picture, you have to look at the whole elephant and not at parts of the elephant. Because what the kind of, except for a very chosen few, many of you, like my daughter, has never seen a village life. She doesn't know what a village looks like. And suddenly you're posted in a subdivision in which you feel that you're completely out of context. So therefore, the first thing that you should do is you should understand the context. You should understand the surrounding. You should have a holistic outlook to life. You should not miss the tree for the woods. Look at it as wholesome. See what your perspective is. Perspective matters. As they say in, spiritual books, that there is no absolute truth. Truth is only relational, it is contextual, and it is according to your perspective. So you can choose to be very depressed about a matter, or you can choose to be optimistic, or you can just choose to be pessimistic. I'm not even saying that optimism is the best choice, because I sometimes feel that pessimism, cynicism is also a good choice. Because generally, people who suffer depression or who take too much stress are the ones who are too Alice in Wonderland-like attitude in life. They have a very moony-eyed attitude in life. So I'm not saying that whether the blue frog girl is right or the yellow frog girl is right. What I'm saying is that whatever you see, whatever is said to you is just a perspective. It is not the absolute truth. And when we joined the IAS, when I joined the IAS, right from childhood in Bihar, I come from Bihar, there we are taught not ABC, but we are taught UPSC. So right from school, I was told by everybody that, or since I was bright at studies, I was told that, Babni to IAS hi banegi. So from, since the time I was growing up, I was only thinking about the IAS, and I was thinking that, I will be like God's gift to the IAS. I will change the way systems work. I will be like perfection personified. And when I saw as a little kid, Kiran Bedi battling the I think Nirankaris, or lifting the crane of Indira Gandhi, lifting Indira Gandhi's car by the crane, and became Crane Bedi. God, I was just so much in love with her. I thought, बस मुझे तो IAS नहीं IPS बनना है और डंडा घुमाना है और पूरी दुनिया को change कर देना है. And I used to be very filmy, so Amitabh Bachchan movies and all these hero wala dhishum dhishum, बस जाके तो बस बदल ही डालूंगी. So then I realized कि मैं जो भी बोलती थी, the earth remained the same. So is your opinion so important? Do you have a huge sense of self? Do you suffer from a huge ego? Then welcome to reality, guys. You'll soon suffer reality. Then another thing, when I had joined the service, I was what is to the right. I was the boss. I was dictating around, do this, do that, because I know the best. I was not a leader. I was a boss. So think deep. What are you, a boss or a leader? I remember once, I was SDO and I had gone outside and saw in the truck some poor peddler. He was stealing some kerosene from the truck, and I started beating him. And उस समय social media नहीं था, तो I started beating him left, right, and center. And by God, I felt so good. Whereas the minister in my subdivision was the biggest chore one can have, and I could do nothing about him. But I felt a sense of self-elation beating that poor chota mota chore. So, are you the boss? Are you the leader? Are you dictatorial, authoritative, or do you take people along with you? Think hard, because self-image is very, very important. The way your journey in the service will be shaped. So if you have a bloated sense of self-image, I'm sounding the warning, don't have, because then life will really hit you hard, like it hit me. I was like, arrogance personified. So I was hit hard. In 2012, there was a false FIR registered against me. Tell him, plead with him, write my affidavit, and then, seek support of my juniors, seek support of my seniors. And I was a person full of self-pride. I had never done that. So I went into depression. And I went into such a depression that one day I took the blade and said that I will end my life. So anyway, that's a story I'll tell you later. But the sum and substance is that if you are very arrogant, if you're not self-seeking, if you are on a high horse and your swabhiman is so great that you don't, you feel it is beneath your dignity to look at lesser mortals, then this is what is going to happen to you, like what happened to me, because I was bindas, I was flamboyant, and I was arrogant. So what can you do so that you don't meet the fate which I did? What you can do is, first is physical. That I guess I don't have to tell you much, but still I'll reiterate and you can share the slides. These are the 9 health non-negotiables if you want to ensure that stress doesn't affect you much. Hydration, daily movement, exercise, sleep, stress management. Positive people are very important in your life. I would go to the extent of saying that if your mother, if your father, if your kid, if your wife, if your husband, they are manipulating you or making you feel guilty, just tell them straight away. Never feel the burden of guilt. Always be surrounded with people who are non-judgmental and non-judgy. Then smiles, giggles, and self-love is very, very important. I don't know why there are many people who, when they join their service, they just leave their smile behind. They feel that, if they smile, if they are bindas, then they will be considered beneath everybody else, that they don't have brains, they are not sober enough. And then we have this conduct rules of conduct unbecoming of a government servants. So be authentic, to the extent possible. You don't have to change for anybody. Be authentic. Eat wholesome foods, do things you enjoy. Like I love listening to music, I love eating, and I love dancing. So these are the 9 health non-negotiables if you want to have a stress-free life. These are the chemicals which get produced. These are the happiness chemicals. Because I suffered depression, so I have done a lot of study about depression, And so you really need dopamine, oxytocin, endorphin, and serotonin in your system if you don't want to be depressed or you don't want to suffer stress, because you will not believe how much we are a victim of our genes. You may feel that what is happening to you is because of this and that. It is nothing but that chemical imbalance which is happening in your body. So if you look at this slide and you see that oxytocin is the love hormone, and it gets it gets produced in your body if you're playing with a dog, playing with a baby, holding hand, hugging your family, giving compliments. Dopamine is a reward chemical which happens if you're completing a task, doing self-care activities like going to the spa, salon, whatever, eating food, celebrating little wins. Serotonin, which I was lacking, is the mood stabilizer. So that happens when you're meditating, running, having full exposure of the sun, swimming, cycling. Then endorphin is the painkiller. And that happens when you're laughing, you're using essential oils, you're watching a comedy movie, you're eating dark chocolate and exercising. So, dearies, just have a look. Where is work in the production of happiness chemicals? Nowhere, perhaps somewhere in dopamine, completing a task. So you see, we have such a disconnect from life. We are chasing happiness. After all, you joined IAS to be happy. But are you doing any of these things? Or are you only working and, bragging that you work so much that you don't have time for anything else? And that is why, guys, you fall into the trap of stress. Be a bookworm. This was one thing which helped me through depression: dancing, music, and reading. And if I have to suggest one book which will change your life, this has to be Thaler and Sunstein's Nudge, which is, I think, a Nobel Prize winner, because it tells you that if you have to change people, because you have to change people, you have to change their behaviors, you have to change the way they think, in the right direction. So can you change it by bossism? No, dearies, not in this age of social media and, self-entitlement. This millennial age, the only way you can change people in a positive direction is through this, what is called nudge. Nudge is basically nothing but it gives a prescription of choice architecture, that you don't pinch people. You just nudge them politely towards something which you feel is in the public good. So read books, bosses. Most of my friends who I see only when we were younger used to feel very proud that they read Times of India and they read India Today. That was the only reading they did, because they were always working. So what has happened is that after 25, 26 years in service, they don't know much, and I know a lot. So please don't give up. If you've been a bookworm, that's the best thing that can happen to you. Even watching Netflix or social media, maybe you can, watch documentaries, watch movies, whatever, but expand your knowledge. Always be open to expanding your knowledge. These are the things which are in the physical domain. Now, what is in the behavioral domain? What is the opposite of what I have said in the first few slides? Humility. Humility is something, I tell you, which is missing in our service. When I meet people who are not half as bright as me, and that's not being very humble, but still, I can say with a certain sense of proportion that Dumbos, they were bright when they entered, but they have become Dumbos. But their ego is directly, inversely proportional to their dumbness, So never forget this, because this is what is, when people hate the IAS, I always used to think, why do they hate the IAS? We are so good. they precisely hate us because we don't have humility. We think that once we've entered the service, it is our right to lord over people. Versus this is the social media age, this is the age of the millennials, and you just cannot. You cannot. Please get this into your head. You cannot. Welcome, Jagdish Chelani. I was like you, always a backbencher and missing from the classes.
Yes, ma'am.
So you'll do well in life.
Madam,
but you can also suffer depression.
Sorry, madam, I have, we had to call Jagdish Chelani specially. Gupta ji called him, I called him, then he appeared. Otherwise, he was...
Ma'am, actually here the internet connectivity is really poor, ma'am.
Really? Yes. And suddenly it has gotten okay.
Ma'am, I had to shift the room there, ma'am.
हाँ, ठीक है. मैंने भी बहुत किया है. मुझे टोपी मत पहना. So, humility is something जो गांठ बांध के अपने दिमाग में रख लो. Be like the bamboo, the higher you grow, the deeper you bow. This is a Chinese proverb, and China is not the favorite these days, but still, this proverb is very, very pertinent if you want that in your service, you want people to respect, you want our service to be respected. Because our service, let me say with extreme candor, is not respected amongst the public. The army, which I've seen from close quarters, is as good or as bad as us. The police is as good or as bad as us. The doctors are as good as or as bad as us, but they are more respected because we have lost humility. Then this is that famous, I think, Kalidas story, that another behavior change which you have to get into your head is you needn't be theoretical all the time. You have to get things going in the field. So there is no sense like common sense. And there is no intelligence like emotional intelligence. You can be you can be the Einstein in the world. But if you don't have emotional intelligence, people will not connect you. And in our service, it is very essential that's the sine qua non of connecting to people. So for that, you need a huge degree of emotional intelligence. Now, dearie, since you have been studying and you have been totally disconnected, maybe you've become very high on your mental intelligence and lost out on emotional intelligence. So go play with your dog, keep a pet, hug a baby, fall in love, do whatever, but please connect to people. And for that, you need emotional intelligence. Then another thing is sensitivity. Basically, this is the joke which my husband, and I share, that it is in the form of a joke, but what it really implies is that you should be sensitive. Like in these days, gender has become a very, very fluid concept. You have now my daughter, if I call her male, female, she says, Mom, that's very, very homophobic because there are these genders called LGBTQ. Then there are all kinds of people. When my mother was a kid, blacks were called Negroes, then we used to get mad at them. So, and now we have to call them black. So, your use of words, your sensitivity to others, be like this man, be sensitive. Have that common sense of sensitivity. When you're talking to a village person, ab gaon ke aadmi ko, तुम अगर अंग्रेजी में बात करोगे या उसको ऑक्सब्रिज एक्सेंट में बात करोगे तो उसको समझ में नहीं आएगा या उसको वो तुमसे बहुत ही इंटिमिडेटेड फील करेगा. So you should be able, your personality should be such that whether you're talking to the President of India or you're talking to a commoner, both should feel the connect with you. And for that you need that sensitivity. Suppose you're talking to a person who's LGBTQ और तुम बोलने लगते हो अरे वो जो है ना वो देखो ना दोस्ताना में गे मूवी था वो गेस का देखो तो कितना हा हा हा. So that's not sensitive. You are public people. You know, we are not people who lead private lives. So sometimes, you know, at least and language, you know, the use of language also reflects the kind of person you are. So always be very, very sensitive in your language. I'm not saying become boring and become humorless, but yes, there are so many identities now. Respect other people's identity and not only yours. So, you know, my husband still calls me fat after so much lecturing to him to be gender sensitive, or he fat shames me still. Then nothing, you know, nothing, just believe that nothing is permanent in this life. And if nothing is permanent, your troubles are also not permanent. So have patience, you know. I had to keep patience for 7 years to become the person I am, that, you know, I've been called for these leaders talk and all. Because for 7 years I was hiding, I was ashamed, I was scared. But despite the fact that I put on a very brave front and I was joint secretary in DOPT and additional secretary in CVC, but inside I was suffering. I was suicidal. But Samay, I used to always ask God that, you know, why me? When I was so honest in life, why me? Why did you choose me? So today I know why he chose me, because he knew that only I could bear it and come out strong. So if you're going through any kind of trouble, believe you me, it will not last. When I had taken that blade in my hand, the only thing that stopped me was my daughter's face. I thought, what will happen to her if I commit suicide? And that was the only thing that stopped me. And then when I went to the psychiatrist said, Archana, hold on. If you can hold on for 15 days, you will make it. It didn't take 15 days. It took a year for me to get out of that depression. But, you know, I got out. And today I'm fully made up, makeup and all, and listening to music, staying alone. My husband is working in a private sector in Delhi, and my daughter is in law school, OP Jindal. So we are all, you know, all three of us are apart, but I'm happy. Because nothing lasts, not even your troubles. Now that was, the first was how you should conduct yourself physically, then behaviorally, then comes professionally. I think as far as professionally goes, I will not be talking about, you know, that KESA model, knowledge, attitude, skill. First, I thought I'll talk about that, but then I thought that many people would have spoken to you about that KAS model, that how knowledge, attitude, skill, all three defines a good administrator. So I'll not talk about that. I'll talk about whatever you can do in professional life, which perhaps is not completely in sync with your work as defined. So what we have done is K. Srinivas sir, Sanjeev Chopra sir, and I, and many of the IAS officers, we got together, and during the COVID pandemic, we decided that, you know, we just cannot just let things be. We must do something about it. So we started this wonderful initiative, which has got the attention of everybody, and we are getting a lot of praise for this. It's called Karuna. I think I don't have to say much about Karuna because this will take one whole session. But basically, it's a collaboration. It's a technology-driven response and a collaboration of 32 civil services in response to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who on the occasion of the Ekta Divas in 2019 said that, you know, for effective working, you have to break silos of narrow service hierarchies, horizontal, vertical. So we decided when the pandemic happened, Sanjeev Chopra sir was the acting president then. So Srini sir said that let's call a meeting of the IS Association. And we called a meeting, and then we gave for the PM fund. But then we thought that that was not enough. Can we achieve whatever we want to achieve if we just stick to the IS? Then we thought that no. You know, Srinivas sir came with the idea of collaboration, and that you will not believe the kind of magic which Karuna has done. Please visit our website for more details. But you know, it's a 32 service association collaboration which has offered more than 1 crore meals to people in during the pandemic. But that is not the only thing which it has done. It's such a long story that it'll take another session. So I'll stop here on Karuna. But this was our first famous meeting wherein all the services came together. You can see Sanjeev Chopra sir right there in the middle, second row, then Srinivas sir, who's the present EO, me at the top, and then we have other people. We have Abhishek Singh, Abhishek Chandra, Gopal Krishnan, he's a brilliant IRTS fellow, then Mr. Binay K. Jha, we call him Gandhi Baba, he's the president of the lead of the food channel. Then we have Tara from the IS, Ritika from the Postal Service. We have Satish Nambudripad from the Indian Information Service, Civil Accounts. So collaboration, theories is very important in this day and age. If you think that, you know, you can get your work done just by being an IS officer, then you're wrong. You're living in medieval feudal ages. You have to collaborate. So this was the first meeting which we did on webinar for Karuna, and that's how Karuna was launched. Then another thing, especially with men, I feel, you know, male officers suffer more because you have been taught since childhood not to show your vulnerability, not to show that, you know, you're scared, you are afraid, you have fear. So I'll just read out this poem, which is by Khalil Gibran. If you want, you know, to get inspired, please read some of Khalil Gibran's work. Many of you may have read it, but I would still recommend The Prophet because it will give you a lot of meaning in life. So it says, fear. It is said that before entering the sea, a river trembles with fear. She looks back at the path she has traveled from the peaks of the mountains, the long winding road crossing forests and villages. And in front of her, she sees an ocean so vast that to enter, there seems nothing more than to disappear forever. But there is no other way. The river cannot go back. Nobody can go back. To go back is impossible in existence. The river needs to take the risk of entering the ocean, because only then will fear disappear, because that's where the river will know. It's not about disappearing into the ocean, but of becoming the ocean. So this is what, this is fear, that you have to go. It is okay to be fearful, perfectly fine, but you have to go beyond fear. That's how I started in, after Karuna. I am a very restless kind of person, full of, you know, ideating all the time, maybe because of my personality A-type defect. So after Karuna became very famous, then I started to get a little bored. So one day, Bhanu Bhaskar is an IPS officer of the 96 batch and my younger brother's friend. He had seen me through that depression phase. So he said, ki Babni Didi, agar tum bologi, because you have been quite a legend in the service, you've been, you know, everybody thinks that you have everything. You've had the best of postings, you are known, and you have a good family, and you are good to look at, and everything is there, going in there in life for you. So people really envy you. But if you will come out and confess that, you have tried to commit suicide, it is then that people will realize that, depression is not something which happens to people who are weak, but it happens because it happens. There's a chemical imbalance in the body, and there is something, which you cannot help. You may be genetically programmed for depression, and some stressor may arise which may lead you to depression. So I started writing on Facebook, and I said that I'm La Deepika Padukone of depression. This was 2 weeks before Sushant Singh Rajput. I don't know now. At that time, I thought he had committed suicide. So when Sushant Singh Rajput committed suicide, I said no more. At that time, because I really used to like that actor, and I thought that, why should people commit suicide? Is it because of the stigma of depression? So then we have started this Proud Depressive movement, where we have openly acknowledged, there are around 50 of us who have openly acknowledged we suffer from depression. And, we have conversations. I write a blog on depression every day on my Facebook page. And you will not believe, I had 75 followers 2 months back in June when I wrote. Maybe 14 June he died. Maybe 2-3 weeks after, 2-3 days after that, I started this movement of Proud Depressives, wherein we wear our depression as a badge of honor. It's okay to be depressed. So from 75, my followers have gone on to 3,500, and every day 500 friend requests are coming. I just don't know what to do with them, because then, and I've become a Neem Hakim Khatrejan. People give me a ring and they keep asking me ki mere, and bureaucrats, mind you, bureaucrats, and very highly placed bureaucrats, they've started sharing that, Archana, tell me which doctor to access. Humko bhi ye hota hai, hum bata nahi pate hain. I cannot come out like you. But that's because of the stigma. So this Proud Depressive movement is right now on Facebook, and on Sunday we'll be, because I have been receiving so many requests, we are opening a Facebook page now, and you will not believe the kind of response it has got. I mean, I'm not able to do my work because half the time I'm working on this Proud Depressive movement. Now, what was my biggest fear? My biggest fear of being discovered that I have a FIR lodged against me. My biggest fear was that people would know that I suffered depression. My biggest fear was that people would know that I tried to commit suicide. So what I did was I pasted my prescription, which was in Wim Hans, on everywhere in social media. And my husband was quite depressed after that time. But now I have nothing to fear. What do I have to hide? Go feel whatever. So, we have this culture of hiding in India. People right from childhood, especially if you're a girl, I remember mom used to say, isko mat bolo, ye mat bolo, aise mat karo, ye chachi ko mat batao, acha uska boyfriend hai, tumhara nahi hona chahiye. So we had a very hypocritical society, we live in, and that's why what happens is when too much hypocrisy seeps inside you, you become split. You become schizophrenic because you don't know what is wrong and right. So we decided in the Proud Depressives that we have to go from, first we have to give dignity to all mental health ailments, and we have to go beyond a culture of hiding to a culture of disclosure. So, okay, I disclose I'm depressed. Jaake jo karna hai kar lo. Tanu kyu khad lega? Then I keep telling my people there ki dekhna ek din I'll make just like Karuna, Proud Depressive ko itna popular banaungi ki bhed chal duniya jo ek din bolegi tanik hamu. Humko bhi there depressed kar do. So if you have to go beyond fear, you have to throw that fear out. And you will realize my family really opposed me when I started this movement. But when they are seeing its popularity, now everybody has started clapping. Pehle my husband, abhi bhi, he has never liked my Proud Depressive. So what he did, he started showing my Karuna, my IT speech, ye wo sara, just to show to people ki nahi, my wife bahut badi genius hai, she is not a mental case. So you see, what happens is that even your family doesn't acknowledge that aapko depression hai, but it's okay. So you are on your own basically in the world, but you should have some non-judgy friends. There were many, family really helped me, they stood by me, but my non-judgy friends and even strangers, you know, the girl who really got me out of depression was this person. Apart from my psychiatrist, there was this person who does reflexology and also claims to be a tarot reader or a healer. So one Sudhiranjan Mohanty sir, who's very close to me, is ex-chief secretary Madhya Pradesh, he got to know from somewhere that this lady exists. So I went to her, and you know, since she was a stranger, I started talking to her, and I started sharing some things which I'd never shared with even my own husband. So once things start tumbling out, once it starts tumbling out of you, you know, all that split or the chaos going in your mind settles down when you feel that whatever you're thinking is okay. So जो होता है ना वैसा वाला दोस्ती की दोस्त को कुछ भी बोल दो सब चलता है. So that is how we started this Proud Depressive movement. And basically I've used this slide to tell you all that go beyond your fear. It's okay to be fearful, but it's not okay to be always fearful. And then humor is something which I keep on insisting. So this is a very, this is a slide I really love, that 1 out of 4 people in this country is mentally unbalanced. Think of your 3 closest friends. If they seem okay. So this dimension, if you want to really go beyond fear, if you really want to go not have, so that is not because of any of the other dimensions. That's because somewhere I have become a believer. I was an atheist. I used to hurl stones at pandits and at God ka pictures. I have turned spiritual. And that is when I realized that, you know, having faith is very, very important. If you want to do anything in life, if you want to live a meaningful life, spirituality, or you can say faith or whatever, replace it with whatever. That is very essential. That's why people who have faith, you know, don't suffer depression much. And this is a magical word that's, you know, gone inside me. I'm trying to achieve this, though I still have a lot of anger issues. I'm short-tempered. But this is a word, it's called Sthit Pragya. Sthit Pragya means that whether in sorrow or in happiness, you maintain that stillness. In a way, you be an outside observer to yourself. That, you know, don't get carried away by happiness. Don't get carried away by fame. Don't even get carried away by sorrow. Unless you have a chemical imbalance, then please go see a psychiatrist. Is that be Sthit Pragya. I have not achieved it, and I think perhaps I'll not achieve it in this life. But that is something which you should aim at. And this is the teaching in the Gita. I think if you people have many questions in life, don't think whether you're a Muslim or a Hindu. Read the Gita, or these days there are translations, simple translations. This is by Shailendra Bharti, which I find very nice. I put it on my Facebook page. Please listen to the Gita. Then you will, you know, want to achieve that stillness, which is called Sthit Pragya. But many people can call it Tehrav, not get too swayed by emotions. Then this is from Tulsidas Ramcharitmanas. I was a very English lit type, never read Hindi. 25 पैसा फाइन पे करने में नॉटर डेम अकेडमी में बड़ा मजा आ रहा था पटना में कि हमको तो हिंदी आता नहीं है, अभी भी नहीं आता है ठीक से. तो 25 पैसा फाइन पे कर देते थे हिंदी बोलने के लिए. We were fined 25 पैसा in Notre Dame. But as I grew, I realized that by God, what great literature I missed on. So this is a colloquial version of Ramcharitmanas. Basically, I feel that all the great learnings are from Gita. But this is something, whenever you feel that, you're feeling very ghamandi, or you're feeling that you are God's gift to life, just listen to this quote. This is not the real quote in Ramcharitmanas Tulsidas ka, lekin ye thoda colloquial version hai which I like. It goes like this: Manush bali nahi hot hai, samay hot balwan. Bhilo luti gopiyan, wahi Arjun, wahi Baan. It means that, all of you must be knowing about Arjun, how great a warrior he was, and his Gandhi arrow. It never missed a target. But what happened was that when Krishna was killed by the Bhils, he was shot in the ankle and he was killed. So when he was dying, he told Arjun that, Arjun, save my gopis from the Bhils who will come and take away the Bhils. But while I am floating in the river, while my dead body is floating in the river, please don't touch my dead body. So now Arjun was a great fan of Krishna. What he did was that while Krishna's body was floating in the river, he thought that aisa na ho ki somebody, lat maros the body. So with his Gandhi Baan, with his bow and arrow, he safely pushed it ashore. And then all the power of his bow and arrow disappeared. And the Bhils came, they tied Arjun to a tree and they took away all the gopis. So basically what this myth and what this folklore says, that, don't think that you're too great. It is basically time is great. 7.5 years back, the time was not mine. After 7.5 years, I feel the time is mine. Because don't be ignorant and feel that whatever you do is because of you. जब अर्जुन कुछ नहीं कर पाए, भीलो लूटी गोपियां, वही अर्जुन वही बाण. वही अर्जुन जिनका टारगेट कभी मिस नहीं होता था, उनको बांध के भील ले गए कृष्ण के सारे गोपीस. So this is one of your biggest lessons in life. I am almost talking like Sadguru, lekin yes, though I don't like Sadguru, I call him Sad Guru. Don't be ignorant that whatever you're doing in life is your own doing. Perhaps it's karmic. Even if you don't believe in karma, at least don't be arrogant. Then this is one slide I just love. People who shine from within don't need a spotlight. You don't always have to be in the spotlight. As such also, I would not have become so non-anonymous had it not been for my passion to share about depression, to remove the dignity. I always believed that bureaucrats' creed should be anonymity. But Proud Depressive movement shook me out of that anonymity. And now I have become a spokesperson because I want to remove that stigma. But as bureaucrats, our creed should be anonymity. And actually, if you're great, you don't need anybody to tell you you're great. So the shine should come from within you. And this is my last slide. I don't know if it's roomy, but this, if I can achieve this and if I can achieve Sthit Pragya, I think I would have achieved whatever I wanted to achieve in life, or maybe the next. Thank you so much for giving me such a patient hearing.